9:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Getting right into things today. Joining us on the line, senior editor over at Human Events, veteran Navy intel officer, New York Times bestselling author, Jack Posobiec is on the line. Hey, Jack, how we doing, man?
Hey, Chris, always a pleasure to be on, man.
Hey, I appreciate it. You got a new book coming out that's, days away. 10/22 Bulletproof, the truth about the assassination attempts on Donald Trump. What are you doing gearing up for this book release? It has to be just a mad dash with that going on for you and the election happening.
Well, thank you. It's actually been kind of wild. So I'm going to be doing a lot of media, as I'm sure you're aware, like I am right now, a lot of interviews, so driving around for a lot of that. But at the same time, what I'm doing, though, is I've been going up and down the highways and byways of my home state of Pennsylvania. I'll be going into North Carolina tomorrow and there for a couple of days, going to some of these swing state events. And something that we found that's happening is what we're doing is we're making the book available to people as we have people come up and sign up for this early voting. So there's all these Trump events going on. So it's actually sort of a happy connection that we have, a little bit of synergy where we're doing these early vote events and people want to get the book. And, I was joking, by the way, the people, I was doing an event with Scott Presler up in Pennsylvania a couple of weeks ago. And I said, look, guys, the book is free, but the selfie, that'll be $30.
I love it. So I was talking with Joe Bob yesterday. You know Joe Bob. He's been opening for Vivek Ramaswamy on some tours, and he drove from Ohio State to Penn State. And so my question for him was,
oh my gosh, grueling.
I know.
Actually, funny enough, I'm going to be at the Ohio State-Penn State game here on I think it's November 2nd. So that'll be something I'm doing.
I love it. But my question for him was, what's the vibe on the ground? And he told me that he's seeing 20-1 Trump signs throughout Pennsylvania. So I want to ask you the same thing. What's your vibe on the ground in Pennsylvania?
Okay, so here's what I saw, and this was all last weekend. I drove all the way up to so I'm from the Philadelphia area, and I was driving all the way up to northeast Pennsylvania, so Scranton, Greeley, Pike County, right up in that corner where it meets New York State. And here was the interesting vibe that I saw. So you're looking at basically a state that's in a civil war because, yes, you do see Trump signs everywhere, yard signs, and people painting the word Trump 2024 up on barns and cars and houses and all sorts of stuff. But Kamala Harris is coming over the top with massive ad spends. And people need to understand this, that in just the state of Pennsylvania alone, not even all the other states, but all in, $500 million is being spent by all campaigns, all outside groups, just on the state of Pennsylvania. This really is the key ground zero battleground of the entire state. So what I saw driving up and down that 476, is called the Northeast Extension there in Pennsylvania, was every 5 miles. And I'm sitting there, actually my dad was with me, so we're doing a little father-son road tripping, and every 5 miles there was a Kamala billboard. Every 5 miles, like clockwork. And we were taking photos of it, and I did a whole Twitter thing that it was boom, Kamala Harris, Medicare. Boom, Kamala Harris is going to protect Social Security. Boom, Kamala Harris is going to protect Social Security. So, really going all in on the government program side. And so there's a lot of spending. You turn on TV, and it was Kamala Harris and Dave McCormick, who's the Senate candidate, just every other commercial. Boom, boom, boom. And then if you listen to podcasts, like if you're like me, you listen to podcasts and you drive around. And so I actually ran out of podcasts. I was listening to so many podcasts because I'm a 2X guy. But when you listen, depending on your app, you get those geographic targeted ads. And then so even in my ads, I'm getting the Kamala Harris.
Oh, my gosh.
Getting the Kamala Harris. And I'm like, why is Kamala Harris on, the Charlie Kirk show or something, or War Room when I'm listening to? And you realize that, why are they hitting me? Like, obviously, I shouldn't be someone that's anywhere near their demographic, but that's how much corporate Wall Street money she's got behind them. So people have to understand that, yes, I agree with Joe Bob's idea that the grassroots vibe is very much pro-Trump, but you can't discount that there's a lot of money in these blue areas that is fighting against it.
So I guess my question would be, though, is the money going to be enough? Because we've seen historical trends where Trump is being outspent, as recently as Nikki Haley, right? And he continues to prevail. Do you think that the money being spent in Pennsylvania is going to make a dent?
Well, I think the money is what's keeping her competitive right now. The money is the only thing keeping her competitive because if without that, she would be completely flatlined at this point. Her campaign is absolutely gassed up by this. There is no organic support for Kamala Harris. And you saw that in her Fox News interview where they asked her, what policies are you supporting that you would champion as president to fix any of these issues, which, by the way, you're presiding over because you're currently in government. And she just kept saying over and over, I'm not Donald Trump. I'm not Donald Trump. I'm not Donald Trump. And so for folks out there that we know there's been this huge groundswell of support for Trump, but remember, there are still a lot of those anti-Trump people. There's those people who just say, I don't want Trump. I don't want him. I don't like the tweets. I don't like the language, et cetera, et cetera. And those people are out there. And that's really the targeted demographic for this money that's being spent. So I would say that this election, as crazy as it is still going to be very close.
In Pennsylvania specifically, though, the Catholic vote is very, very important, correct? Does Kamala skipping the Al Smith dinner hurt her with the Catholic vote in Pennsylvania?
So the Catholic vote in Pennsylvania is number one. It's paramount for this election. This is something that Trump had in 2016, and then Biden as we call him a Catholic in name only, a CINO kind of guy, but he was able to win back. But where Kamala Harris has been trending for years in the negative direction, because if you can even go back to when she was a senator and she was attacking the Knights of Columbus, and the Knights of Columbus, and she was acting as if they were like the KKK or something.
Yep.
These are the guys, by the way, who give you the coffee and donuts after services, and they help you find a seat. They say, hey, I got 2 seats over here. I got 4 seats. You got a family right over here. Come on, let me get you in. They're your ushers. They're your child. I'm a member of the Knights of Columbus, by the way. We do blood drives. We bring mulch for a fundraiser and carry it to seniors in the parish. It is a very run-of-the-mill charity organization. So for her to attack them, it really left people with this Catholics with this feeling that not only is she someone who is just not supportive of Catholics, but she is going so far as to be anti-Catholic. And so there's a lot of people who look at that. They look at her abortion record. They look at the fact that Merrick Garland has gone after traditional Catholics. They look at the fact that they have pushed back against so many of these issues that Catholics really stand for, like the pro-life issue, that she is getting crushed in the Catholic vote right now. Now, is it as high as I wish it was? No, it is not, because you do still have a lot of the Catholics that, again, go in for these social programs. And a lot of this breaks down racially as well. You see the demographic shift when you go by that. So one of the things that myself and my brother are doing as two Pennsylvania Catholics, and my dad and my mom as well when they're around, is we've been going to the Latin masses, we've been going to the English masses. We even went to a Polish mass this last weekend in Doylestown at the National Polish Shrine, because we are just trying to get the word out among Catholics. Again, not politicking, but letting people know where each candidate stands on the issues, and then again pushing people to vote early if they haven't done so yet.
I love it, man. I was on my way to church last week and I was checking the feed, and I noticed you had already been to 4 services, and I was like, well, I feel like that's a record. Before I've even made it, you're at 4 services. Do you think we have time to wake up the Catholics and the Christians that are asleep in this country to vote Trump?
Well, one thing that I've noticed among both Catholics and the broader Christians is that you also run up against this sort of barrier. I don't know if it's a mental barrier or a mental block, but you get this sort of feeling out there. People will say, well, I don't like Kamala Harris, but Trump, he's not the most Christian guy. He's not the most doctrinal guy. I just don't know if he's been divorced 3 times and he's got the tweets, et cetera. And I don't like his tweet about this, and I don't like his tweet about that. So I'm going to sit out. And there's been some data that says something like 40 million Christians writ large nationwide are going to sit out the election. And I just got to say, I think that's a cop-out. Look, when it comes to politics, number one, we are duty bound to get involved in the matters of state, right? That's scripture. And number two, we are not electing, it's not the most reverend Donald Trump, right? It's the president of the country.
Yep.
And it comes down to this. Do you want to live in a society? That's what I tell people. Do you want to live in a society where your children are taken out of religious schools, where religious education will be crushed if we continue going down this route of all state education and the public teachers union. They'll get rid of the magnet schools. They'll get rid of any Christian schools. Catholic schools like I went to and like my children go to, they're already being shut down. This will just complete that process. Everyone's going to be sent into state school. Your children will be taught the trans agenda, the pride agenda, the woke racial agenda, pitting races against each other, all this stuff that they do. That's what's going to happen to your children if these people are able to stay in power. So maybe you don't like every single thing about Donald Trump, but you know something? This guy is fighting for our future, and this guy is giving us the opportunity to have, what are those two beautiful words in the Constitution? Religious freedom.
Amen. And he's showing up in places where Christians are. Kamala Harris can't say the same. You know, skipping the Al Smith dinner last night is crazy, especially when you juxtapose it with the new narrative that Trump is in hiding, yet Trump has been everywhere. And I saw you tweet this yesterday, and I want to get your reaction on it. Trump was on the Patrick Bet-David podcast, and he had this to say about regime change in Iran.
Tanks running around.
What's going to happen to Iran with you by the end of your administration?
I'm not asking.
I
would like
tactics,
to see Iran be very successful. The only thing is they can't have a nuclear weapon.
Are you okay with the same administration and way of governing stays, or would you like to see it go back to the 70s when Shah's was running it and Iran was one of the top 3 countries in tourism?
We can't get totally involved in all. You know, I mean, we can't run ourselves. Let's face it.
Sure.
Patrick, we can't run ourselves.
We can't run ourselves. What's your reaction when you hear Trump saying that about regime change in Iran?
Look, this is a really incredible situation, and you hear these types of people, and, you know, I don't think Patrick Bet-David, and I've heard some of his stuff, and I don't consider him a neocon, but you hear this type of thinking from a lot of people that, well, if, you know, the U.S. just gets involved and supports this one group somewhere in the world, and it's not always Iran, sometimes it's places like Russia, of course, you hear it all the time, or Ukraine, or these various places, you know, we can just get a new government at North Korea, we can just get rid of one group that we don't like, Syria, of course, and then, you know, we'll change them out for this opposition and we'll take over their country and everything's going to be great. And it's like, guys, we tried this in Afghanistan. We tried this in Iraq. We tried this in Syria for a decade, by the way. For a decade, the United States, we tried it in Libya, by the way, got rid of Gaddafi. So we got rid of Gaddafi, got rid of Saddam Hussein. We got rid of the Taliban temporarily in Afghanistan, only for them to come back in. And it just doesn't work. And so I understand Patrick Bet-David seems like he's coming from this position of thinking like, oh, wouldn't it be great if we could do this? But then it goes back to Trump and he says, guys, I'm just not interested in getting involved in these regime change operations, whether it be a war, whether by covert action. He's really talking about the America First agenda. And, you know, he's very clear, but he draws the line. He says, look, I don't want them getting a nuclear weapon because he sees that as a threat, not just to the United States, but it would be a threat to Europe, a threat to our allies. So he draws the line of saying, I don't want them to present them as a threat, but if they're not threatening anyone, why would we go in and try to take them over? Because that would be beyond his line. So you're actually seeing a very classical sense of foreign policy from Donald Trump, and it's one that he's adhered to for years. You can go back and hear him talking about the Iraq War 20 years ago, and he was saying the exact same stuff. And so this idea that, you know, we shouldn't be trying to police the entire world, I think is a breath of fresh air. I think it's incredible for a lot of people to hear. I think it really is, just speaks to those America First instincts that we know Donald Trump has. And it also goes to show you that we have to really get out of this mindset that the United States exists, as I said, to be this sort of policeman of the world state, and that, you know, we're working with the European Union and we know what's better for these countries when we have no track record of doing so whatsoever. And you get Donald Trump and he says, look, cut off the threats. And keep in mind, by the way, just think of the context of this. This is what's amazing, is that Iran is a country that, look, President Trump has said, and his campaign has said, that they're actively trying to assassinate him right now. And he's received multiple briefings on this. He's requested military support for the aircraft and for for vehicles. So we're told that Iran is actively trying to assassinate President Trump. I've got reporting in the new book that about different attempts that haven't even made it public to the news yet. And yet when it comes to Trump, he doesn't even bring it up. It doesn't even factor into his calculus because he's not thinking of it personally. He's thinking about what's best for the United States. And it's really incredible.
It is refreshing. And I was actually going to transition to that. Your book, Bulletproof, The Truth About the Assassination Attempts on Donald Trump. It goes on sale on October 22nd. We're talking with Jack Posobiec. What can you tease us? You said you heard that there are other attempts that haven't even been discussed in the news. What have you learned about the Iran threat as you've been doing the research on this book and writing it?
So the information about the Iran threat is sketchy, to be fair. But essentially, what people have to understand is when the second individual tried to, and people know, I think, that there were 2 attempts on President Trump's life, and we go through those in detail. But let's get to the juicy stuff. That when that second attempt happened, this individual, Ryan Wesley Routh, released a piece of information, and it was a letter, and he had this sort of, it was almost like a dead man's letter that he had given to a friend in North Carolina in a lockbox and said, hold this for safekeeping. The FBI gets a hold of this letter. The DOJ then releases this letter, which is incredible, by the way, because the FBI is not exactly known for releasing information to the public, but they're more than happy to put this letter out there, which stated that I was not able to get this done. Someone else can do it, and if you do, there will be a bounty of $150,000 for you. FBI and DOJ and Merrick Garland had no problem making that public. What I've been told, though, is that bounty is directly tied to this Iranian plot. And so what the Iranians have done is, do they have people that they're trying to get into the country and all that? Yes. But what they've also done is set up essentially this bounty system where they said, almost like you're watching John Wick or something, where if anyone takes him out, you can collect on the bounty. And then Matt Gaetz comes on my program a couple of weeks ago here and drops a nuclear warhead into this entire narrative, saying that he's received information from the Department of Homeland Security that there are 5 active assassination teams that are currently attempting to take out President Trump, again, as we speak. So we're not just talking about something that happened in Butler. We're not just talking about something that happened in West Palm Beach. We get into all of that. But we're actually talking about an active situation that's going on as we speak. And so it is our estimation that if we can learn the truth about what really happened in Butler and West Palm Beach, so that July 13th and September 15th situation, we have to look at those through the lens of failed hits. Those were failed hits on Donald Trump, and there is a bounty out on his head. So if we dig into the details and dig into the data, then we hopefully can prevent something that could happen in the very near future.
We're talking with Jack Posobiec. New book, Bulletproof, is out on October 22nd. The Truth About the Assassination Attempts on Donald Trump. I do have a question. So we saw the one letter from Ryan Wesley Routh that says he failed, right? But part of me thinks that there would be a second letter if he had been successful.
I have the exact same thought. Is, did he have 2 dead man's letters? Because how would you know? And by the way, we're also told that letter was given to the friend about a month before this took place. So he went into an operational cycle. And by the way, we went in with, and I was the first person to break this just doing research for the book and then also just for my own human events, that we took the picture of Ryan Wesley Routh and I fed it to an proprietary, AI facial recognition software that I'll just say I have access to. Not all the time, but I do have a way to access it. And I put this picture and I said, find any instance of this individual's face that's out there publicly on the internet. I had no idea what would come out. I thought it would, I was looking for like social media accounts, that type of thing.
Yeah.
The very first ping that I get back on this is a propaganda video for the Azov battalion, this neo-Nazi Azov battalion that is over in Ukraine, that has received direct training. And the New York Times has written about this. Anyone can go find it. The Azov battalion has received direct training from the United States and the Central Intelligence Agency to conduct assassination.
It's just a happy little coincidence, right?
It's a happy little coincidence that's the first ping that I get back. I'm sitting there at my computer. I'm like, I got to text this to Alex Jones because his head's going to explode when he sees this one. I did text it to him. And, it's like, oh, look, it's the assassination squad that was trained by the CIA out of Ukraine. Okay, that's just wonderful. It's like you're sitting there going, you're just putting all the money into the Alex Jones's right jar. And that again, this was I remember the New York Times when they did their big write-up on the Azov Battalion and the CIA's involvement with them, even prior to the current outbreak of the Ukraine war in 2022. They said that they basically said that the Azov Battalion, quote unquote, went rogue and then began conducting assassinations inside of Russia proper, that they totally didn't have anything to do with. They say, oh, yeah, the CIA has nothing to do with assassinations in Russia. Of course, just like all the regime change stuff that we were talking about. Of course, the CIA would never assassinate somebody. That would be crazy. That's
a wild thought.
Direct link between a guy who's got, and he's sitting there, think of this, with an unregistered, no serial number SKS rifle, which is a Kalashnikov style rifle, the exact same kind that you see on the battlefield in Ukraine, sitting there on the 6th hole of the Donald Trump International Golf Course outside of West Palm Beach, right over by the airport by PBI. And Trump is on the 5th hole. So this guy's one hole away. He's very, very close. So it's a couple of, he's just one green away, basically, from hitting President Trump. He's there, and he's got body armor that's set up. He essentially created an ad hoc hide site whereby if this guy had a little better training and he hadn't put the muzzle of his Kalashnikov through the fence, then there's no way he would have been detected, because the Secret Service wasn't even using drones. And so you see these tactics that were taught by the CIA to the Azov Battalion then being brought back into the United States, and still we have not gotten information. How is this guy able to travel? How does he have money like this? We're told this guy is involved, Ryan Ralph, is involved with foreign fighters from Afghanistan, that he was traveling to Istanbul, Turkey, he was traveling to Taipei, Taiwan, that he was attempting, in the last few years, attempting to gin up these plots, which are exactly what the CIA does. And just as I was talking about in those regime change wars, this is what they did in Syria. They would find opposition leaders and funnel arms from Libya up to Syria. That's what the whole Benghazi situation was about with MANPAD. And so it also begs the question, how was he able to do all this when this guy has been a registered felon for over 20 years and didn't even have the ability to buy a gun? So how does this guy who's a felon, who's not able to be a lawful gun owner, collect all of these things, bring them to the United States, doing this international travel, and yet somehow the national security state is completely oblivious to it? We're also even told, by the way, that he did ping Homeland Security numerous times when he was going in and out of Hawaii, and yet Homeland Security kept giving him a pass. Look, again, it all goes back to these questions of what exactly is going on, how is he allowed to travel all around the world, and how does he end up from a CIA-trained organization on the battlefield of Ukraine to sitting there on the 6th hole of Trump International at West Palm Beach?
It's just a happy little coincidence. And Jack, I could talk to you all day, but real quick, where can we pre-order your book, Bulletproof?
Well, so look, for people to get the information on this, and I've also got to say that we've also hired a private investigation firm. And so when you buy the book, that helps us continue the investigation that's on the ground in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, that's on the ground in Butler, Pennsylvania. If we've got to go to Ukraine, I will send people to Ukraine. And so you can get it. It's up on Amazon or wherever you get books. And then if you want to, there's some extra copies, special editions. The foreword, by the way, is by Donald Trump Jr., and you can get all that at orderbulletproof.com.
Jack Posobiec, thanks for your time, man. Really appreciate it.
God bless, Chris.
Hey, God bless you. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's now 9:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. And happening right now, police continue an investigation in downtown Nashville for an accident at 4th and Commerce Street. An accident with a suspected DUI driver plowing into a crowd. A tourist from Michigan fell, struck his head on the sidewalk, and died. 4 people were taken to the hospital. They had serious injuries, but they are expected to be okay. Those who witnessed the crash were left shaken.
I've never experienced anything like this before, not to this magnitude. I live in Orlando, a country, quiet town. Never expect to see something like this.
Now, police say the suspect, John Williams, was seen on surveillance video speeding in his red-colored Mercedes down Commerce Street, sometimes in the bicycle lane, before hitting a rideshare van with passengers. He also hit 2 parked cars. Court documents show officers noted multiple bottles of tequila located inside that Mercedes. We're learning, too, that former NFL star Jay Cutler spent time in jail last night. The Franklin resident and former quarterback was arrested for DUI and gun possession offenses last night and booked into the Williamson County Jail. He posted a $5,000 bail. So far, no other details about that incident. The U.S. is reaffirming its support of Israel after the IDF killed the Hamas leader who's known as the mastermind of the October 7th attack on Israel. National Security Advisor John Kirby answering questions in Berlin this morning.
They're still holding hostages. And yes, they still have some capability left to them. So there's still a lethality to Hamas that, just can't be underestimated.
Kirby traveling with the president in Germany today. Market numbers report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. We've got the Dow Jones Industrials down 160 right now, but the NASDAQ up at 119. The S&P 500 index trading 13 points higher. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Matt Murphy with Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 2024 is coming to a close, and what a great year it was. We are looking forward to an exciting 2025, and we want you to be a part of it. If you're looking for marketing or digital strategy for your business, we want to be on your team. It is a wonderful three-legged stool. You, me, and the listener, and we want to be a part of your family. So join us at 997wtn.com/epic to find out more, and we'll see you in 2025.
9:41 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name's Chris Hand. Running a little bit behind. We had a great interview with Jack Posobiec from Human Events Daily. If you don't know Jack, former Navy intel officer, veteran, great guy, smart. He's got his finger on the pulse of a lot of things happening. He's been spending time in Pennsylvania, as many people have declared that state must win in order to get the presidential race victory. You got to win Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania's been a main focus for a lot of people on the left and the right. And we have a surprising ally, not so surprising, but out and about. It's the Canadian accent, out and about. I'm not Canadian. But Elon Musk, out and about. Elon Musk was campaigning for Donald Trump yesterday in Pennsylvania. And I want to put a couple things into perspective. So as Elon Musk is holding a town hall in Folsom, Pennsylvania, you also had a Kamala Harris, Waltz, Mark Cuban rally in Wisconsin. Okay, both of them were live on the internet. You could watch, and I think this is really important. At a certain point, Kamala's rally had ended an hour ago. Okay, so an hour after Kamala's rally ended, they had garnered 97.1 thousand views online on YouTube. That's it. 97,000. 6 minutes after the Elon town hall ended, it had 1 million views. And I think it's really important to point out that we have a guy out there campaigning for Donald Trump that can equal the internet numbers that Donald Trump can pull himself. We have a guy campaigning for Donald Trump that is putting the Democrat candidate to shame with the numbers on the internet, reaching far more people, and this guy's not running for office. So Elon was out in Pennsylvania, and he was really making an impact with Pennsylvania voters. And he's making it a larger impact because the entire thing is broadcast online. And Elon said himself, listen, I didn't want to be politically active, but the state of the country essentially forced my hand.
Huge difference. So, I haven't been politically active before. I'm politically active now because I think the future of America and the future of civilization is at stake.
He's right. And I know there's a lot of Americans that feel that exact same way. It seems like this race in 2024 has forced everybody to pick a side. Everybody is politically active now. Whether you want to be or not, you have to be politically active. Elon Musk saying, my hand was forced. And one of the things that forced his hand, he makes the point that it's kind of crazy that what was once considered American values have now been morphed into right-wing values. Insane. But he makes that point here.
Yeah, and I think the things we all want are simple, sensible, I think common sense things. We obviously want secure borders. We want safe cities. Sensible spending, so that we don't have crazy inflation. We want freedom of speech. We want the Constitution to be upheld. And I'm being told at times that these are like right-wing values. I'm like, are you insane? This is literally the fundamental values that made America what it is today. And anyone who is against those things is fundamentally anti-American. And the hell with them. Yeah.
I mean, just really rocking that crowd, Elon Musk, making the point that what was once American values have, for some reason, been labeled right-wing values. And how insane that is. But he's right, wanting secure borders, wanting safe cities, wanting the police to be able to do their jobs, wanting to have spending under control. These are all right-wing values. Oh, the scary, terrifying right wing. These things used to be American values. These things used to be something that both sides of the aisle could agree on. Secure borders, both sides of the aisle could agree on. Safe cities, both sides of the aisle used to agree on that. Not anymore. Now the left wants sanctuary cities with defunded police. It's not going to make anything safer. Anybody who's against these values of safety and security and sensible spending and upholding the Constitution, you are fundamentally anti-American. And like Elon Musk said, to hell with them. Elon Musk is making a massive impact. A massive impact. And he said something last night that a lot of our listeners I know are really going to enjoy. Elon Musk really coming out in favor of paper ballots.
In my view, we should only do paper ballots hand counted. That's it. I mean, computer program. Because it's just too easy to hack. It's too easy to add just one line. And it's really difficult to hack paper ballots. So,
you know, that used to not be a controversial take.
So, you know, in-person voting with you know, proof of, yeah, with ID, which, by the way, every country has. I mean, like almost every country that has democratic elections requires in-person voting with voter ID. This is weird. It's super weird to not have that. I think that's the only way to effectively address fraud.
He's right, you know, paper ballots can't be hacked. It is one of the only ways to actually effectively address fraud in elections. This is now a right-wing talking point, as the media will tell you. It's, right-wingers, they don't trust election machines. They're so conspiratorial. And it just really plays into how tribalist everything has gotten. Well, your side likes that. Well, my side likes the opposite, because it was just a few years ago that even Kamala Harris was agreeing with what Elon just said there. This was Kamala on The View. I believe this was in 2016, 2017.
You've been saying that it's time for us to go back to paper ballots. Why?
Because Russia can't hack a piece of paper.
There you go. There you go. Senator Kamala Harris.
Russia can't hack a piece of paper. See, these views were held by the left for many, many years. That was actually 2019, Kamala Harris. I'm in favor of paper ballots because Russia can't hack a piece of paper. But today, the Democrats, they fight and push back against that as hard as they can. Paper ballots. Oh, my gosh. You crazy right-wingers. And you have to ask yourself, why? Why? Now, it's not to disenfranchise anyone from voting. We just have to make it too big to rig. When we're looking at the polls right now, at times I do feel like some of these stories are planted to make us feel complacent. And I think, if anything, with less than 3 weeks to go, we need to be as adamant as ever that everyone needs to get out and vote. Nothing is for sure. Nothing is guaranteed. We got to keep our foot on the gas. We have to make it too big to rig. We have to. We have to. Another funny line from the Elon Town Hall. He said it would be interesting if you could see the crossover between the Epstein client list and the Kamala Harris donor list. He's talking about the puppet masters that run things behind the scenes.
My question is, do you think there is a shadow government behind the Biden-Harris administration?
I mean, well, let me put it this way. It's not Biden. We know that for a fact. Okay. The dude has like barely got 2 functional neurons. So, you know, it's like, and he just seems to be at the beach a lot, and he's obviously not in charge. So, I mean, when the polls started going low on Biden, he was saying, he's staying in the race, but then I guess the real powers that be told him he's not, you know?
Like, so who is it that's behind him? We know Obama, okay, but Obama...
I mean, I'm just as curious as you are.
I think one of the most refreshing things from this town hall with Elon is he doesn't act like he's smarter than the people in the audience. I'm just as curious as you are. I'm just as curious as you. I think the same things that you're thinking.
You know, it is. As far as I can determine, there isn't any one sort of puppet master. It's more like there's 1,000 or, I don't know, a lot. But I mean, I'd like to talk to them to understand more about, listen, what are your goals, puppet masters? I'm just curious. I mean, maybe I agree with some of them. It's possible. But it's just obvious that Biden's not in charge. It's obvious that Kamala's not in charge. I mean, they just replaced the Biden puppet with the Kamala puppet, very obviously. And it's, you can tell, like, if the teleprompter stops working, then the puppet breaks. And it's like, oh. the puppet just starts looping because the teleprompter broke. I don't have a teleprompter. I can just talk like a normal human. So I mean, I think it's not, from what I can tell, it's not one puppet master, it's many, but, interesting to see the crossover between the Epstein client list and Kamala's puppet masters. I bet there's a lot of names that appear in both lists.
That's Elon Musk at a rally in Pennsylvania yesterday. I don't doubt it. I bet you there's a lot of crossover between those lists as well. It's 9:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand, and healthcare is going to be one of the biggest expenses you face in retirement. And there's so many different Medicare options, and making the wrong choice could cost you a lot. So Paul Winkler yesterday brought in Medicare expert Christine Mather from the State Health Insurance Assistance Program to explain that complicated part of retirement. And you can watch this workshop for free at paulwinkler.com. It's a practical workshop, covers the core aspects of Medicare, what it is, what it covers, what it doesn't, what it costs, how to enroll, all the things. And they also talk about the long-term health care and how to take best care of your health throughout retirement. There's a lot of different Medicare plans, and some have hidden problems. Some agents, if you talk to them, they can be biased depending on which providers they sell for. So you're going to need to understand this for yourself. What's the difference between a supplemental plan and an Advantage plan? What are the pros and cons? Which one is right for you? You can hear this discussed in an unbiased platform with a source from the state of Tennessee. That way you can be confident you're getting the straight up facts. You can watch that workshop today at paulwinkler.com. Click on the webinars tab. That's paulwinkler.com. Click on the webinars tab.
I do everything from scrubbing cages to asking people for donations to answering the phones and helping facilitate getting animals to the rehab. I'm there on the weekends, up there taking care of animals with the team.
You got a great team there. It's a small team, but a great team that works together. And
I started about 20 years ago. My dear friend Carol Burgess founded Harmony in Fairview.
Okay.
And we decided to reopen it in West Nashville. And we are rocking along. Lots of animals. One of the primary calls that we get are, I found a bird, it's on the ground, what do I do? And in most situations, you should let it alone unless there's an imminent danger to that animal, because the parents are helping it and feeding it, and it just needs a couple of scary days on the ground until it gets back up into flight. What about bunnies, Melody? Can we give advice about bunnies?
The bunnies, they're just the sweetest, most innocent creatures, and we just see the worst things happen to them. Cats, dogs, lawnmowers, weed whackers.
In most cases, if the animals aren't injured, if you can put the rabbits back, that's always better to be with the mother rabbit than to come to us.
All the storms that have been coming through and just destroying nests, and a lot of babies will be found on the ground. Re-nesting is possible and preferable.
You play the video calls and you put the baby near where they found it, and the mama will actually come down and pick it up and then bring it back.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that cool?
Nice.
Good morning. It's now 10 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Stick around for the forecast coming up in just 2 minutes. There's hope that the remaining members of the Hamas terror group will release the remaining hostages now that that group's leader is dead, blown up by Israel yesterday. But not everyone sees it that way.
This is obviously a major win for the Israelis and a huge blow to Hamas. And it is possible it could hasten the end of the war and hopefully mean the release of the hostages, but none of that is certain. When the news was first announced, there was fear that the hostages would be executed in retaliation, but then Hamas would have nothing to bargain with.
That's ABC's Martha Raddatz. President Biden says he spoke directly with the Israeli prime minister after Sinwar's death was confirmed. Some surgeries and other elective procedures at the Nashville VA hospital are being canceled because of the IV fluid shortage caused by Hurricane Helene. Channel 4's Brandon Tierney reports.
Officials say they need to make sure there's enough to take care of people who are sick and have critical emergencies. So they're making decisions day by day about what they have enough supplies to handle. Patients like Fred Herring are being told to talk with their doctor about any concerns around the IV fluids.
You wouldn't expect that, and there's a lot of things going on in the world you wouldn't expect. Unfortunately, it's going on right now, and unfortunately, people are really, really sick and people need help.
Other hospitals in Nashville, including Vanderbilt and St. Thomas, say they still have big enough stockpiles to support all of their patients right now.
President Biden using the Defense Recovery Act to speed up the process, but it's not sure just how long the IV fluid shortage will last. If Kamala Harris wins the presidential election, many of the nation's Border Patrol agents tell the New York Post they're going to quit. Some say they're tired of being scapegoats. They call the past 4 years of hell. On Monday, the Border Patrol Union, National Border Patrol Council, endorsed former President Donald Trump. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Dow Jones Industrials down 90 right now. NASDAQ is up 106 and the S&P 500 index plus 14. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
10:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Donald Trump continued hiding last night. He's still hiding. That's what the Democrats say. He's hiding. What's he hiding from? Well, he hid last night at the Al Smith dinner in New York City. He's hiding right there on the stage. It was the last place they would look for him. That dastardly orange man. We can't keep letting him get away with it.
Hiding behind the beams of bright light shining down on the stage.
He hid behind that microphone.
The elusive ever Donald Trump.
We got to stop him. He's hiding. Spoiler alert, Kamala Harris, who's been claiming that Trump is hiding, she didn't make it to the Al Smith dinner.
What?
She was invited. She didn't make it. There's a lot of highlights from the Al Smith dinner. But part of me feels like because I was punished and had to listen to the Kamala Harris recorded video, that you should have to listen to it too.
I might turn my headset off for a second.
All right. Do you think it's going to be a tune-out? She had like a 4-minute video. It wasn't funny at all. And it had an SNL character.
Oh, it's her trying to be funny?
Yeah, she's trying to be funny.
I think I got to listen to that.
She's trying to be funny. So, and the SNL character was Molly Shannon. Was that her name?
I think so. That sounds right.
And she did the Catholic schoolgirl with the glasses, the one that used to smell her armpits. Do you remember that? Do you remember that SNL character? I thought it was a missed opportunity. They should have got Dana Carvey, if you're going to do it, to be the old church lady.
Please, that would have been great.
Right? But Dana Carvey probably even realizes that that's career suicide.
Oh, absolutely.
So.
Doesn't want to be buried that hard.
Yeah, no, nobody wants to be. Yeah, break out the shovels, right? So Kamala Harris, she did a pre-roll. That's what we call it in the biz, a little pre-roll, and wasn't that good. Wasn't that good at all. This is Kamala.
Your Eminence and distinguished guests, the Al Smith dinner provides a rare
and that
opportunity
SNL character is running
to set
behind
aside
her.
Partisanship.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, what's going on? Who was that?
Oh, sorry, Mary Catherine Gallagher. Mary Catherine Gallagher. It's so nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you, Mary Catherine. Right now I'm trying to record my speech for tonight's dinner.
Oh, yeah, I know. I just want to say that I'm Catholic, and tonight is one of the biggest dinners next to the Last Supper.
It is a very important dinner, and it's an important tradition that I'm so proud to be a part of.
So cringy from the jump. This is the most important dinner since the Last Supper. Come on.
So proud to be a part of it that I'm not going to show up, but I'll send you a voicemail, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so proud to be a part of it that I couldn't be there tonight, even though it's been on the schedule for months and months and months. And we understand that the Democrats don't exactly care for Christians or Catholics. You saw that, what was it, last week? Gretchen Whitmer and some podcaster making fun of Holy Communion with a Dorito chip. She had to come out and apologize for that. This is just as cringy as that.
Sometimes when I get nervous, I stick my fingers under my arms and I symbol them like that.
Kamala Harris is a terrible actress, by the way.
That's gross.
So tell me something. I'm giving a speech. Do you have some thoughts about what I might say tonight?
Just read the teleprompter, lady. just read it. We know you're not coming up with it.
I was going to say, that's the thing. She is reading the teleprompter.
Yeah.
Feelings about what you should say tonight would be best expressed in a monologue from one of my favorite made-for-TV series.
Okay, let's hear it.
Don't you see, man? We need a woman to represent us. A woman brings more heart, more compassion. And think how smart she must be to become a top contender in a field dominated by men.
This is supposed to be comedy. It's supposed to be comedy, right? Think about how smart she must be to become the top contender in a field dominated by men. Well, they handed it to her after they cooed out Joe Biden.
Time for a woman, bro. And with this woman, we can fly.
What series was that from?
Oh, that's from House of Dragons, now streaming on HBO Max.
Is there anything that you think that maybe I shouldn't bring up tonight?
Probably the border. Your record at the border is what I would stay away from that. I'm not gonna pain you with any more of Kamala Harris. I can't believe that she skipped it. I can't believe that that's what she sent in. And the jokes that Donald Trump was telling is probably why she avoided it. Trump, addressed the fact that she wasn't there and talked about how important this night was to him and how great it is to be in New York City.
With you this evening, amazing pleasure. And these days it's really a pleasure anywhere in New York without a subpoena for my appearance.
It's great. It's great to be in New York when I'm not subpoenaed to be here. And then he goes in on Kamala not showing up, sending in the pre-roll, which is it's just disgraceful. It really is.
It's been a long tradition for both Democrat and Republican candidates for president of the United States to attend this dinner. It's a rule. You got to go to the dinner. You got to do it. Otherwise, bad things are going to happen to you from up there. You can't do what I just saw on that screen.
Talking about a recorded video.
My opponent feels like she does not have to be here, which is deeply disrespectful to the event and in particular to our great Catholic community. Very disrespectful.
I mean, Trump has the support of 3/4 of the room.
Not to attend this important event was Walter Mondale, and it did not go very well for him. He lost 49 states and he won one, Minnesota. So I said, there's no way I'm missing it. Actually, it was not easy for me to get here tonight. Cardinal, I wasn't going to miss this thing, no matter, I didn't care. I wasn't going to miss it. But that's true. Walter Mondale, 49-1. He was expected to do well, and it didn't work out. It shows you there is a God. I mean, for those people that are questioning it. I understand the real reason that she's not here is she's hunting with her running mate, spending a lot of time hunting. In any event, it's a weird. You know the word weird. They call me weird. They call JD weird. We're very solid people. This guy is calling us weird, but this was weird that the Democrat candidate is not here and with us tonight.
Yeah, it was a weird. You would think that she would want to be there so that way she could get that viral moment of owning Donald Trump, right? You would think that she would want to be there so that way they could at least clip her jokes, which would be written by someone else. Trump didn't write his own jokes either. I mean, full disclosure, he had writers. Kamala would have writers. You could make a funny joke and make it go viral, right? Why would you miss that opportunity? Trump said, though, if you really wanted her to come here, you should have had the money that was being raised go somewhere else.
I would not have missed the Al Smith dinner for anything in the world. I still remember coming here as a very young guy with my father, Fred. He was a great guy, my father. He was a tough cookie, but he had a very big heart. Anytime we'd walk down the street, and you don't see it too much anymore, there'd be people standing with tin cans, and he would always take out $100 and put it in that can. And I always thought it was beautiful. And frankly, I even think more so now it was beautiful, because nowadays you don't see it so much. But I miss him, and we used to come here very religiously. And a great New York tradition has been born 79 years ago. It was born 79 years ago, and there are some people that were here for almost that length. I know many of them, and it's not a pretty picture. Not a pretty picture. The two candidates for president are supposed to exchange good-natured barbs, and you know we get along very well. I didn't like Biden very much, and now I like him quite a bit. You know, and now I say that she's much worse than him. He was a much better candidate than her, actually. And when we hopefully win, dispose of her, I like her a lot, but right now I can't stand her. It's true. I can't stand. I've never liked people that I was competing against. When you do, a lot of bad things happen. And we are doing well. By the way, the votes are starting to come in. You got to get out and vote. And Catholics, you got to vote for me. Just remember. You better remember I'm here. And she's not. I could have done that too. But you do something that's incredible. The Catholic Church, you're helping the poor, educating children, and supporting the vulnerable. But if you really wanted Vice President Harris to accept your invitation, I guess you should have told her the funds We're going to bail out the looters and rioters in Minneapolis, and she would have been here, guaranteed she would have been here. Guaranteed.
He's so good. Guaranteed. If that was the case, guaranteed she would have been here. He didn't spend too much time ragging on Kamala, but this one was one of my favorites right here.
But I know this isn't my normal crowd tonight, because it just isn't. It's not my normal crowd. Believe me, my normal crowd is younger, has a lot more energy, but you have certain advantages too, like cash, lots of cash. But many of you are Manhattan liberals from the media and the Democrat Party. I always say the Democrat, Chuck doesn't like that. He likes Democratic, and it sounds much more beautiful, the Democratic Party. I always say the Democrat Party because it sounds worse. It is true. He likes Democratic. Why don't they just change the name? This way, it is Democrat. But I must say I was shocked when I heard that Kamala was skipping the Al Smith dinner. I'd really hoped that she would come, because we can't get enough of hearing her beautiful laugh. She laughs like crazy.
Trump at the Al Smith dinner last night. Can't get enough of her beautiful laugh. We just can't get enough of the beautiful laugh. Nothing was off limits, though. He even took some shots at Joe Biden and CNN in this clip, which is just fantastic.
Joe has almost disappeared from view. The only way he could be seen less is if he had a show on CNN. They had nothing. They've got nothing. Fake news, right? Fake.
It's so funny. That's the second time in the day that he's been going at CNN. He was actually on the Patrick Bet-David podcast, and Patrick Bet-David talked to him about how he killed mainstream media, and he brought up this clip of the first time that Trump said fake news, and it's kind of cool to watch Trump watch this clip and then react to it from when he first called CNN fake news.
I think the only one that Letitia James, Jack Smith, and maybe even Fannie, if they wanted to, claim that you did commit a crime, is you kind of did kill mainstream media, if you think about it. I did. And that could be a crime for those guys.
I'm very proud of it.
And I want to show you this clip, because this is the first time ever the phrase fake news was ever used. And from this moment on is when the decline started. Rob, if you can go ahead and play this clip.
It's a little trip down memory lane, and I'm sure when you hear this, you're going to remember this too.
Since you're attacking us, can you give us a question? Mr. President-elect.
Go ahead.
Mr. President-elect, since you are attacking our news organization, can you give us a chance?
Your organization
You are attacking our news organization.
Your organization.
Can you give us a chance to ask a question, sir?
Go ahead.
Sir, can you state,
Quiet.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
can you state
She's
categorically,
asking a question. Don't
Mr.
be rude.
President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be
You're
rude.
attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
Can you
No,
give
I'm
us
not
a
going to give you a
question?
question. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir,
Go ahead.
can you state categorically?
That was the first time that he ever said fake news. I can't wait to hear him called president-elect again.
No, Mr. President-elect, that's not appropriate.
So, if you can
But
pause it
isn't
there.
that disgusting? Think of it. And that would never happen to a Democrat. But isn't that disgusting? He's a lowlife, the guy, and as you know. But and he has his own show. He gets no ratings at all. Nobody on CNN gets ratings.
He spent a good majority of the day yesterday just reminding people how terrible CNN was. But Trump had a lot more to say at the Al Smith dinner. One of his jokes in particular got under the skin of Kamala Harris. There's reports that she didn't watch it live last night. She couldn't bring herself to watch it live. She just couldn't. So she tried to catch up in the morning. And she heard one joke that put her in a foul mood. And the reports were that before 9 a.m. on the East Coast, because of this one joke, it was already a don't talk to Kamala day. I'll bring you that joke next. It's 10:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, and my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling are reminding you it is time to get your heater serviced. You've been feeling it all week long. You wake up in the morning, and the chill is in the air in your house. But before you kick that heater on for the first time, get it maintained the right way, the Busy Bee way with Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. And when you call them to get your heater tuned up so that way it's working at maximum efficiency, ask them about a Beehive Club membership, because a Beehive Club membership is going to take care of all of this for you. See, the Beehive Club membership is only $99, and you'll receive 3 annual tune-ups, one for your cooling, one for your heating, one for your plumbing. You'll get a 10% discount on all repairs. Priority front-of-the-line service. I'm a Beehive Club member, and when my AC went out over the summer, that priority front-of-the-line service was priceless. You'll also receive a $100 annual accrued replacement credit with a maximum of $1,000. So this $99 Beehive Club membership is going to pay for itself immediately. Plus, no overtime or holiday fees. This is all for as little as $99. Busy Bee's your Rude Pro partner. For satisfaction guaranteed, you call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833, online at busybeehvac.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
We have new information about a DUI crash in downtown Nashville overnight, and why investigators are digging through a landfill in Texas. Those stories at 10:30 on Supertalk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 10:26 on Supertalk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram, all the same, at Chris Hand on air. Hit the follow button. I'll follow you back. So there's one joke that sent Kamala over the edge. She wasn't there in person to receive this live. And she couldn't bring herself to watch it last night as it was going on in real time. But there are reports coming out of the White House that the Al Smith dinner is hitting like a bad hangover. This is a quote. Jack Posobiec actually has this. Jack Posobiec, who joined the show earlier today. White House official. The Al Smith dinner is hitting like a bad hangover this morning. Kamala was too upset to watch it live, so she tried to catch up just now. But she stopped after this joke, which I'm about to play for you. It's already a don't talk to her kind of day, and it's not even 9 a.m. This is the joke that sent Kamala over the edge. They probably drove her to the bottle. Let's be honest. Let's be honest with Kamala. This is the joke that turned today into a don't talk to Kamala kind of day.
People don't like it. The only piece of advice I would have for her in the event that she wins would be not to let her husband, Doug, anywhere near the nannies. Keep him away. That's a nasty one. That's nasty. I told these idiots that gave me this stuff, that's too tough. People don't. I love
how he says the joke. He delivers the joke. The joke is hilarious. Then he blames the writers. That's a nasty one. That's nasty.
Like it. The only piece of advice I would have for her in the event that she wins would be not to let her husband, Doug, anywhere near the nannies. Just keep him away. That's a nasty one. That's nasty. That might be my favorite part. I think we're gonna need that on a hotkey.
What? They're nice.
That's nasty one. That's nasty.
That's nasty.
We need that. We need that on the hotkey. There's many hotkey moments from last night. Kamala's been begging for weeks that she wanted another debate, right? Hasn't she been begging? I mean, since the debate ended between Trump and David Muir, Kamala has been asking for a rematch. She could have gotten as close as possible last night if she showed up to the Al Smith dinner. As close as she possibly could have to a debate. She could have confronted the orange man right to his face and really dug in, but she chose not to. She chose not to. Crazy. Trump didn't miss the opening to go after her. This is a Catholic charity, and she didn't want to show up. Trump let that be known.
All polls are indicating I'm leading big with the Catholic vote, as I should be. But I don't think Kamala has given up yet. She hasn't. Instead of attending tonight, she's in Michigan receiving communion from Gretchen Whitmer. That's not a pretty sight. But Catholics, please don't be too insulted by Kamala's absence. If the Democrats, he says, thank you very much, I appreciate it. If Democrats really wanted to have someone not be with us this evening, they would have just sent Joe Biden.
It's 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.30 now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. New information about an overnight DUI crash at Commerce and 4th. That's a pretty busy intersection in downtown Nashville on a Thursday night. Police say a red Mercedes speeding through a red light hit a van, either loading or unloading passengers. One man struck his head and was killed. 4 others were rushed to the hospital. They're all expected to be okay, although their wounds are described as serious. Arrested 25-year-old John Williams, whose birthday was yesterday. Court documents show there were multiple bottles of tequila in his car. He's being held on $105,000 bail. In South Texas, homicide detectives have been at work since Monday, searching a landfill for clues into the disappearance of a 51-year-old mother of 4.
Investigators have not been specific about what led them to the city dump east of San Antonio, but for the past 4 days, they've sifted through tons of trash looking for evidence into Suzanne Clark Simpson's whereabouts, and they've found nothing. Simpson disappeared October 6th after neighbors reported hearing a loud argument. Her husband is being held on charges of family violence and unlawful restraint, but he's also being questioned about his wife's disappearance. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Dallas.
In Wilson County, a $1,500 reward being offered for information about who keeps destroying Trump campaign signs. It's the Wilson County Republican Party offering that reward. They say about a dozen signs on both residential and commercial properties have been spray painted with the words felon and rapist. Others have had holes cut through them. Others have been stolen, too. The GOP said they are leaving the defaced signs on display to spur on Republicans to get out and vote. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
1032. Thank you, Joan Jones. It's Chris Hand here for my friends at United Structural Systems. Listen, when it comes to large home repairs, you've probably done this. I know I have. We pretend we don't see the warning signs. We don't want to hear the things we don't want to hear. And this is especially true with waterproofing. It's especially true with foundation repair. This could be something big that absolutely needs to be fixed. It could be something small that gets bigger if we ignore it, or it could be nothing at all. But you want to call the experts that you can trust, the guys that are going to come to your home and be honest with you. You need that peace of mind. United Structural Systems, they're the company to give you that. And they have over 25,000 100% satisfied residential customers to back them up. If you're having waterproofing issues in your crawl space, if you're noticing cracks in your foundation, call the guys that keep homes dry and stable. Call who homeowners trust. Call USS 615-488-7855. That's 615-488-7855. Online at USSTN.com.
The fact is, we need new leadership in this country. Right now, we have someone in the White House who can barely talk, barely put together two coherent sentences, who seems to have mental faculties of a child, it's said. There's a person that has nothing going, no intelligence whatsoever, but enough about Kamala Harris. Let's get on to something else.
That's Donald Trump last night at the Al Smith dinner, roasting Harris. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name's Chris Hand. Kamala, she just didn't show. She just didn't show. She sent a little pre-roll. A cringy, terrible 4-minute pre-roll. You would think if they were going to send a pre-recorded video, it would actually be funny, but it was not. It was not. Trump, on the other hand, just knocked it out of the park. Every joke was fantastic. The fact is, we need new leadership. We have somebody who has the faculties of a child. Okay, enough about Kamala Harris. I could watch this thing over and over. In fact, over the weekend, I'm probably going to go back and watch the Hillary Clinton one too, and decide which one is better. I'll let you know Monday. But Kamala, you had a chance. You've been begging for a debate. You were begging for a debate. You had a chance to be in the same room as Trump and really nail him, and you chose not to go.
I know Kamala's word because she spends a lot of time complaining. I won't agree to another debate. But the truth is I've debated twice this year, once against Joe Biden and once against David Muir of ABC.
He's so good. He's so good. And it's easy. It's easy. This is one of those jokes that this is one of those ones that even my wife looked at me and was like, ooh, should he have said that? I said, yeah, he should have. He should have.
There's a group called White Dudes for Harris. Have you seen this? White Dudes for Harris. Anybody know? Are some of you here? White Dudes for Harris. Doesn't sound like it. But I'm not worried about them at all because their wives and their wives' lovers are all voting for me. Every one of those people is voting for me.
Savage. He's a savage. Letitia James is drawing up new charges this morning for the assault that happened last night at the Al Smith dinner.
That's nasty.
That was quick. You got that on the hotkey quick.
I'm pretty good. I'm just saying.
Nice. Solid.
There's a group called White Dudes for Harris. Have you seen this? White Dudes for Harris. Anybody know? Are some of you here? White Dudes for Harris. Doesn't sound like it. But I'm not worried about them at all because their wives and their wives' lovers are all voting for me.
Savage. Absolute savage. Hello, officer. I'd like to report an assault. There's an orange man just mercilessly beating a woman on stage. No, the woman isn't there. She's not there. She's not there. Yeah, Chuck Schumer was sitting next to him all night too. Poor Chuck. He was the seat directly stage right to him at the podium, and at a certain point, Trump turns his attention to Chuck. And while he's telling this joke, he is rubbing Chuck Schumer's back. So I want you to get that mental picture. He leans over and he's just rubbing his back like, oh, I love you, pal. I love you. And the body language made it all the better. It really did. It really did. Listen to this.
Coming in very, very strong a certain way. I won't tell you what way that is, but Chuck Schumer is here looking very glum. Doesn't he look glum? He looks glum.
He's rubbing his back.
But look on the bright side, Chuck, considering how woke your party has become. If Kamala loses, you still have a chance to become the first woman president. That's a nasty one.
Where are the officers? He's still beating people on the stage.
That's emotional damage if I've ever heard it.
Oh my! He's looking glum, and he's looking glum. He's looking so glum, and he starts rubbing his back.
I won't tell you what way that is, but Chuck Schumer is here looking very glum.
I also love glum. Who uses that in conversation anymore? I just love, it just rolls off the tongue. He's looking glum.
Doesn't it look glum? It looks glum. But look on the bright side, Chuck, considering how woke your party has become. If Kamala loses, you still have a chance to become the first woman president.
As he tells that joke, Jim Gaffigan, who is the host for the night, Jim Gaffigan's been playing Tim Waltz on SNL. He's taking a sip of water and he appears to choke a bit. And he wipes the dribble off of his chin after he recovers.
Man, here's the thing. Trump probably didn't have a writer do that for him. He probably came up with it himself.
It's so good. Yeah, he did take a little bit of aim at Jim Gaffigan, who had just choked on his water there. And he said this.
I'd like to thank our MC this evening, Jim Gaffigan. Most recently, Jim has been playing Tim Waltz on Saturday Night Live. And that'll be a very short gig, I hope, Jim. But it was fun while it lasted, wasn't it? Let's see how that lasts. It better be quick. We don't want him, and I'm not going to say anymore. But unfortunately, Governor Waltz isn't here himself, but don't worry, he'll say that he was. He's going to say he was.
Oh, my.
This guy's just on fire. He's just on fire. He's just on fire. Let me just let the hits keep rolling, all right? I feel like at a certain point, I don't really need to intro some of these. I'll just let them roll.
Campaigning can take a toll on a family and family life, although I hear that Kamala and her husband carve out some really beautiful alone time at the end of the day for an intimate dinner, just Doug, her, and a teleprompter that she uses quite well.
Oh man.
Yeah. It gets better. It gets better. Hold on. These are one of those ones that it's like, am I going to get in trouble? Well, we'll ask for forgiveness.
I used to think the Democrats were crazy for saying that men have periods, but then I met Tim Waltz.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's a nasty one. That's nasty. I used to think the Democrats were crazy for saying that men have periods, but then I met Tim Waltz. I used to.
Man,
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
I don't care who you're voting for, man. That's funny.
That's good.
That is funny.
It's good. He made the point though. You're supposed to it's supposed to be a little self-deprecating, right? Like you're supposed to be able to joke about yourself. And he acknowledged that he wasn't going to do it, but he acknowledged it.
Tradition holds that I'm supposed to tell a few self-deprecating jokes this evening. So here it goes. Nope, I've got nothing. I've got nothing. There's nothing to say. I guess I just don't see the point of taking shots at myself when other people have been shooting at me for a hell of a long time. And they shoot.
Wow.
He's so good. He's so good. Why am I going to take shots at myself? I'll let other people do that.
Wow.
Whoa.
Nothing was off limits. Nothing was off limits. Even Rosie O'Donnell got a shout out.
The stupid show, The View, is so bad now that the other day I was watching it and thinking to myself, you know what? They really need to bring Rosie O'Donnell back.
That's just a knockout. Just a nice little.
Ring the bell. Ring the bell.
Fight's over.
But he could have probably done this for like an hour and a half, and I I would pay good money to see a Trump stand-up special. I really would.
Now on Netflix.
But Trump made the point that there wasn't enough time in the evening to get through all of his jokes.
Well, I'd better wrap up because Mayor Adams told me earlier that I needed to make this one very quick, especially the city has reserved this room for a large group of illegal aliens coming in from Texas. That's right. They've reserved many rooms, a lot of rooms, too many rooms.
We gotta clean up and get out so that way they can move the illegal aliens in here.
Oh, man.
He's a savage. But at the end of the night, you know, he did get a little serious, and you know, in the jokes there are those moments where you have to make it, you know, your political statement, and he did.
I actually thought about not doing jokes tonight. I was going to come out here and say, listen, our country is doing very badly. This is not about jokes. And then some person said, you have to do jokes. I said, I don't want to. There's nothing funny about what's happening to our country. And I actually meant that. I was going to do that. But they convinced me to say some of the things I said tonight. I don't know if they were funny or not, but hey, you think this is easy standing up here and doing this? In front of half a room that hates my guts and the other half loves me? Half of us love me, but maybe it's, I think 75% love me. But I actually do. I did think about that, and our country is doing very badly with respect to its open borders and inflation, crushing things happening in the Middle East and Ukraine. It's so sad to see what's happening in Ukraine. Wow. I had a lot of people very religious people come up to me tonight from Ukraine, and they're asking me for help. So sad to see so many people have been killed in Ukraine, and we're going to get it settled up if we win. As I'm president-elect, I'm going to get that done. I'm going to do it before we ever get back. We have to get it stopped. Too much killing. It's killing, and all of those cities are coming crashing down. Those beautiful golden domes are crashing down on their sides. They're so sad to see. The whole thing is so sad. So we're going to be, for all those people, there's so many people came up to the dais, and religious people from Ukraine, and I'm going to say, and I told them, don't worry, we're going to get it stopped. It's too bad it ever started. It should have never started. It wouldn't have started. But we're going to have our country respected again. We're going to make sure that it's respected, and we're going to go out and do very good things for ourselves as a country and for the world. These are challenging times for our beautiful USA, but I'm committed to working with every partner here in New York and all across the nation to build an America that once again is strong and safe and proud and prosperous and free. We're going to make sure together we can create a future defined by great ambitions and grand achievements that once again inspires the dreams of our children, brings back the American dream. You don't hear about the American dream anymore. We're going to make it possible for them to have the American dream.
Trump is right. And, you know, he talked about Chuck Schumer looking glum. I'll tell you what, he looked more glum sitting there listening to Donald Trump preach the truth than through any joke. And he makes the point that people from Ukraine were coming up to him. And it's interesting. A lot of people are going to candidate Trump, asking them for help. A lot of people, including one very, very powerful CEO. And Donald Trump revealed this on the Patrick Bet-David podcast yesterday. And it blows my mind because Kamala Harris is in office right now and she could help them right now. Yet these people are going to Trump for help. I'll bring you audio of what CEO came to ask Trump for help and how Trump relayed that message next. Hang out with us. A lot more to cover on the Chris Hand Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
I do everything from scrubbing cages to asking people for donations to answering the phones and helping facilitate getting animals to the rehab. I'm there on the weekends, up there taking care of animals with the team.
You got a great team there. It's a small team, but a great team that works together. And
I started about 20 years ago. My dear friend Carol Burgess founded Harmony in Fairview.
Okay.
And we decided to reopen it in West Nashville. And we are rocking along. Lots of animals. One of the primary calls that we get are, I found a bird, it's on the ground, what do I do? And in most situations, you should let it alone unless there's an imminent danger to that animal, because the parents are helping it and feeding it, and it just needs a couple of scary days on the ground until it gets back up into flight. What about bunnies, Melody? Can we give advice about bunnies?
The bunnies, they're just the sweetest, most innocent creatures, and we just see the worst things happen to them. Cats, dogs, lawnmowers, weed whackers.
In most cases, if the animals aren't injured, if you can put the rabbits back, that's always better to be with the mother rabbit than to come to us.
All the storms that have been coming through and just destroying nests, and a lot of babies will be found on the ground. Re-nesting is possible and preferable.
You play the video calls and you put the baby near where they found it, and the mama will actually come down and pick it up and then bring it back.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that cool?
Nice.
Hey, I'm Joan Jones on Super Talk 99.7. And you know, the dual power of radio and digital has always been such a plus for our advertisers. So if you're thinking about your 2025 plans, make sure you check us out at 997wtn.com/epic. Go there now.
Reaffirmation of U.S. support for Israel. Both presidential campaigns in the same battleground state today. New information about a drunk driver who plowed into people in downtown Nashville. And a new surge in the use of the U.S. Postal Service coming up at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. It's 10:58 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. So one of the things that I've really taken note of this presidential cycle, this campaign season, is how many people want to talk to Donald Trump, right? He's not the sitting president. He's not the incumbent, even though the Democrats act that way. He's just a private citizen. But it seems like so often we'll hear about world leaders coming into town, like the Japanese prime minister, and he makes time to visit Donald Trump. You know, Viktor Orban comes into town. He makes time to go see Trump. Zelensky comes into town. He makes time to go see Trump. But Trump revealed something yesterday on the Patrick Bet David podcast, which I also think should alarm Democrats. CEOs of companies in leftist states are reaching out to Donald Trump for help. You have leftists in the White House right now. They're not reaching out to them for help. They're reaching out to a private citizen for help. And Trump revealed yesterday that Apple's CEO, Tim Cook, called him to ask him for help with fines that Apple is dealing with from the European Union.
So anyway, Tim Cook called, and then about a year later, he called again on something else. He said, could I see you? Now, most companies send in lobbyists that get paid millions and millions of dollars to talk for them. And they probably say, we know Trump, we can talk, but they don't. For the most part, they don't. And Tim Cook called me up directly, and he did it himself, didn't have to pay 10 cents, and I gave him 100% of what he wanted because he was right. I mean, you can't compete with Samsung, and one's paying a tax. But I said, you got to gradually move your company here. But then 3 hours ago, he called me. He said, I'd like to talk to you about something. What? He said, the European Union has just fined us $15 billion. I said, that's a lot. I know the feeling because I get fined too in fake cases. But I don't know if his case is fake yet, but it's a lot. Then on top of that, they got fined by the European Union another $2 billion. So he's a $17 to $18 billion fine. I even said about Apple, can you pay that? I mean, do you have that kind? That's a lot of money. And he said something that was interesting. He said they're using that to run their enterprise, meaning Europe is their enterprise. And I said, that's a lot. I said, but Tim, I got to get elected first. But I'm not going to let them take advantage of our companies.
It's really revealing to me when the CEO of Apple, Tim Cook, calls a private citizen for help with fines from the European Union. And maybe he called Biden, maybe he called Kamala. But the fact that they're calling Trump reveals who these CEOs think has a good shot at winning the presidential race, in my humble opinion. It's 11:01 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. There's a lot more said on that Patrick Bet David podcast with Donald Trump. I'll bring it to you next, only on Super Talk.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories on this Friday morning. I see we have a brand new crash to report, and it's in a bad place if you're trying to get somewhere quick. This is going to be westbound 24 right there at 40. You got a multi-vehicle crash. The left shoulder is blocked. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes, and Karen Travers has the latest on what the Biden administration is saying about the state of Hamas.
The White House says the death of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar marks a, quote, inflection point when it comes to potentially reaching a ceasefire deal to secure the release of the remaining hostages and end the war in Gaza. National Security spokesman John Kirby says Hamas is now in a much more weakened position than it ever was before, but still,
they're still holding hostages. And yes, they still have some capability left to them. So there's still a lethality to Hamas that, just can't be underestimated.
Election 2024, both presidential campaigns hold rallies in Michigan today. The two candidates running just about neck and neck. So it's really going to be critical for both of them to not only turn out their bases, but also appeal to undecided voters, swing voters, disaffected voters from either party. Right now in Nashville, new information about an overnight DUI crash at Commerce and 4th, a busy intersection in downtown Nashville on a Thursday night.
Police say a red Mercedes speeding through a red light hit a van that was either loading passengers or letting them out. One man struck his head and was killed. 4 others were rushed to the hospital. They're all expected to be okay. Arrested, 25-year-old John Williams, whose birthday was yesterday. Court documents show there were multiple bottles of tequila in his car. He's being held on $105,000 bail. Joan Jones, WTN News.
While it may be true that neither snow nor rain nor heat nor gloom of night will keep the mail from getting through, economic headwinds are tougher to overcome. The total volume delivered by the U.S. Postal Service has been steadily declining since 2006. But Jim Ryan sees a glimmer of hope for the 250-year-old post office.
Considering the speed of email and the convenience of online bill paying,
we often don't think that people still use the mail that much.
Nick Spitzman is general manager of Stamps.com.
Our survey shows that 2/3 of Americans still mail at least once or twice monthly.
And things are about to pick up at the post office. Around 1 in 5 Americans plan to vote by mail in the 2024 presidential election.
I honestly cannot remember the last time I put a stamp on an envelope and put it in the mail. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
.1107 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how's it going? I'm Chris Hand. Thank you for listening. However you may be listening or watching, whether you're on the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, if you're listening on the FM dial, or you're watching us on Super Talk TV, on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, we appreciate you tuning in. We got a big election night party coming up. Wilson County Fairgrounds, the Ag Building. It's going to be awesome. Brian's doing his whole show out there live. Myself, Mandis Murphy, we're taking you into the wee hours of the morning, just basking in all of the election results, and we want you there. It's going to be a banger of a party. We're going to have food trucks. We're going to have plenty of stuff going on for you. And if you want to up your game a little bit, there are some VIP tickets still available. They're going incredibly fast. There's only a limited number, but if you want them, they're at 997WTN.com. It comes with access to a VIP buffet, all of your drinks included, be it Tito's or Diet Coke. You choose. Pick your poison. It's included. You also get VIP seating, which if you've been to any of our events, seating is a premium. You'll have front row seating to be able to watch the live broadcast. Plus, you'll get a WTN VIP goodie bag. A lot of value. 997WTN.com. So I'm getting I love the super text line. Love you guys on the text line. 615-737-9986 or on the phone lines if you want to jump in the conversation. There's some hate listeners. There's some hate listeners out there. These are my favorites. Jeremiah, he's called in before. Jeremiah is he's a loyal hate listener, our friend Jeremiah. And for that, I thank him. You remember, you ever watch the old Howard Stern stuff? It was like, the people that like Howard listen for 30 minutes, but the people that hate him, they listen for an hour and 15.
They're there the whole show.
So we appreciate you, Jeremiah. Jeremiah asked the question about 30 minutes ago, how much does Donald pay you? And I said, LOL. I do this for free. I do it for free. How much did Donald Trump get paid for being president? Well, he donated his whole salary, 2016 to 2020. I get paid that same amount. It's nothing. I'm not taking a dollar.
It's all
to
free.
Support Donald Trump. I do it because I believe in it. I got another hate texter here, and I just replied to this question. What are you talking about? 8715 said, Trump is barely forming coherent sentences anymore. Talk about drinking the blue Kool-Aid. That's the new Democrat talking point. He's mentally unfit. He's unstable. He's losing his mental faculties. If you listen to Donald Trump at the Al Smith dinner, you can read jokes, but you can't fake comedic timing. And his comedic timing was just absolutely on fire at the Al Smith dinner. If you listen to that and you think that Donald Trump has issues with his mental faculties and he's not coherent anymore, you're missing something. Or you're just not listening and you're just sending in hate. Because his timing was so good. So good. My favorite joke of the night was this one, the white dudes for Harris joke. I loved it.
There's a group called White Dudes for Harris. Have you seen this? White Dudes for Harris. Anybody know? Are some of you here? White Dudes for Harris? Doesn't sound like it. But I'm not worried about them at all because their wives and their wives' lovers are all voting for me. Every one of those people is voting for me.
I love it. We got a 2-1 advantage because of the White Dudes for Harris, so. You can't fake comedic timing. This talking point of him being incoherent and he's losing his mind, it's wrong. You're not paying attention to what's really going on. You're just not. And listen, the hate texters can let us know that he's losing his mind. How much is Donald paying you? Well, then I would say, how much is Donald paying Brian Stelter over at CNN? Because he loved what happened last night.
Brian Stelter, what did you make of this performance?
Oh, no, don't ask me first. I thought he was funny. I thought he actually got a few great jokes in. I thought the best moment was we talked about the assassination attempts and made light of what he's experienced, because I think he's experiencing real trauma, real PTSD as a result of the shootings, but he's still able to have a light moment in this room, and he took advantage of the fact that Kamala Harris wasn't there.
Which is really the subtext
that he
of this
kept,
whole thing.
Exactly. That she
They're
didn't
usually
attend.
supposed to be in the same room.
It's really the subtext of this whole thing. Is Brian Stelter a Russian disinfo agent? Is he cashing checks from the Orange Man? These are questions we must get to the bottom of. Like, come on. Even Brian Stelter gives him kudos for that performance. And the other narrative that they've been pushing is that he's hiding. He's hiding. He was hiding behind the podium and the microphone last night, hiding under the spotlights at the Al Smith dinner. He was also hiding yesterday when he did the Patrick Bet David podcast. And I thought the Patrick Bet David podcast was great. I really did. One of the best lines of the night in the Patrick Bet David podcast was when the talk of regime change with Iran came up. And this has to drive the neocons insane listening to this.
Tanks running around.
What's going
each
to happen
other.
to Iran with you by the end of your administration?
I'm
not asking
I would like to
tactic,
see
I'm just-
Iran be very successful. The only thing is they can't have a nuclear weapon.
Are you okay with the same administration and way of governing stays, or would you like to see it go back to the 70s when Shah's was running it and Iran was one of the top 3 countries in tourism?
Yeah, we can't get totally involved in all. You know, I mean,
Right.
we can't run ourselves. Let's face it.
Sure.
Patrick, we can't run ourselves.
I think that's such a great answer. Why are we worried about regime change in another country or another endless forever war when we have problems at home? Seriously. Let's how about we house our veterans before we talk about regime change in another country, huh? Maybe it would be great to secure our own southern border before we start another forever war, right? No. I mean, listen, the elites and the globalists, they would much rather have another forever war. The Lockheed Martins of the world, the Raytheons, would much rather have a candidate that supports regime change. And this is with the threats of assassination that are allegedly coming out of Iran. I take those threats with a grain of salt. I do think that the media tries to make Iran this evil, evil boogeyman. I understand there's stuff going on with Israel. I think Israel can handle it themselves. I don't want to send any of our soldiers overseas. I just think we should let Israel handle it and stay out of the way. I don't think we should be sending foreign aid to any country, period. Just any of them. I think it should all stop until we balance our budget. That might be a radical take, but I just think that that's the case. I don't want to send hundreds of millions of dollars overseas when there are people in North Carolina without heat today. I think that's stupid. I think that's dumb. I think that's short-sighted. And I think we need to strengthen ourselves before we can strengthen anyone else. We have to put our oxygen mask on first. And I love this answer. We can't get involved because we can't even run ourselves. Amen. Let's get ourselves back on the right track. And getting back on the right track in a Donald Trump administration, I think is going to happen rather quickly. I hope it happens rather quickly. Howard Lutnick is in charge of the transition team for Donald Trump. And a lot of people are making a big stink. Well, Trump is going to only hire loyalists. And Howard Lutnick was on he was on Bloomberg. Oh, Trump's only going to hire people that agree with him. And all this and that is in Howard Lutnick said, well, we're on Bloomberg. Does anybody have a negative thing to say about Bloomberg while we're live on the air? And crickets. He's like, exactly. Donald Trump is going to be going in as the CEO, and he needs everybody to be pulling in the same direction. And he says, we need allies in this administration, not staffers undermining the agenda. And I love what Howard Lutnick says here. If the audio clip will play.
I've got the best 150 Republicans in the United States of America, from Chuck Schwab to Mark Rowan.
So you're only hiring Republicans?
Yes. What a shock. The Republican president is going to hire Republicans who are going to be fidelity to him, his policies, and him, because he's the CEO. Why would you pick someone who's going to try to go the other direction? That would be silly. And we saw it with all these generals. They thought, I know better than him. I know better than him. That's just not true. They went the wrong way, and that's what was the mistake.
This is what scares them so much, is that Trump understands D.C. now more than he ever did before. And that he's going to get in, and he's not going to have that discovery period that we had during that first administration where he's kind of getting his bearings and figuring things out. He understands it. He gets it. That terrifies them. You're going to get a Trump administration here in 2025 that is going to be ready to go. Day one from the jump. They got their plans in order. They're going to have their people in order. And I love what Howard Lutnick says here.
Mistake. only.
But how do you make anything better, Howard, if you pack yourself with fealty over people who are just good at it and can work with the other side and give you different ideas? How do you get anywhere better than where we are right now?
So you think it's trouble in 80 million Republicans to pick rock stars? I promise you, it is easy to pick rock stars from either side. Okay, Democrats can pick rock stars. Republicans pick rock stars. When it's your company, right? He's the boss. He gets elected. The concept of these people working against him needs to end.
Amen.
Everybody's got to be going where his policies go.
Is that a crazy concept? I don't think it's a crazy concept. And this is not to say that you're not going to have people that disagree, but when he puts his foot down and says, we're going this direction, you need people to say, yes, sir, that's the direction we're going. And I think that's what we're going to see in the next Trump administration. If what Howard Lutnick has been saying is true, that's exactly what we're going to see in the next Trump administration. He's been telling anybody that will listen to him this. He was on with News Nation and Chris Cuomo, right? Chris Cuomo, not Andrew Cuomo. Yeah, Chris Cuomo. And then he's on multiple news networks saying the exact same thing.
Remember, last time he was a freshman. You know, he comes in the first time. He's not really sure exactly how it goes. And so he acts a certain way. Now, complete experience, complete knowledge, knows exactly what he wants, and how he wants to do it. So what will happen is you're going to see the greatest set of talent ever walk on the field on January 20th. You've never seen anything like it. So what I've done is I've talked to probably the top 150 business people across the United States of America, and probably the top 50 political people, and they've analyzed everybody. And what they do is I call it genealogy. You go to these people, so it's 200 people. They then recommend and vouch for everybody. You have to vouch for them and say, I know them, I've worked with them, and then they vouch for it, and it goes down like that. And so we have 5,000 people already that we know who have been vouched for by the greatest people. You got Ross Perot in energy and Chuck Schwab doing finance, and everybody, they are helping, they're building, and they're creating for Donald Trump the greatest group of people who will ever walk on the field for an administration.
Does that not sound good to you? That sounds good to me. And it sounds like we're going to be taking a different approach to a second Trump term than we took when we started off the first Trump term. And I love that he's going in with this kind of a game plan. I love that Howard Lutnick, who is the Trump transition chairman, is telegraphing this game plan, letting people know exactly what's going to happen. Because if it happens the way he says it's going to be, it's going to be a wild 4 years. And I'm here for it. It's 11:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Looks like they have cleared that multi-vehicle crash that was moved off to the left shoulder there, westbound 24 at 40. So that's good news if you're trying to get into town. I'm seeing there are new developments in former President Donald Trump's 2020 election interference case. We'll tell you about that coming up at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom, 11:25 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Thank you for listening. However you're listening, we appreciate you. Find me offline, too. Online, off air, at Chris Hand on air. Twitter, True Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on air. So I've been going back and forth with a hate listener. That's what I did. That's what I did during my commercial break. What did you do with yours? So it's 87:15. Trump is barely forming coherent sentences anymore. I said, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? He said, Trump is clearly mentally slipping. This station is not talking about it at all. Oh, because he's not. And then he said 40 out of 44 of his previous cabinet doesn't endorse him. Why? And I wrote back. I said, wow, people he fired have negative things to say. Color me shocked. You're also missing the fact that many of the people that were in his first cabinet, his first administration, were recommendations from old guard Republicans. And he took those recommendations because he wanted to make peace with the Republican Party after absolutely dismantling them during the debates in the lead up to 2016. Don't forget, Donald Trump was the first Republican nominee candidate to ever say the Iraq war was a mistake. He shredded Jeb Bush. Shredded him. Don't forget that they wanted Jeb Bush in 2016. They wanted a continuation of that Bush dynasty, or they wanted a continuation of the Clinton dynasty, because those are two wings of the same bird. And those people that he accepted recommendations from the old guard Republicans for, they burned him and they worked against him. So to 8715, I said, seethe and cope. 8715 replied to me. He said, this station used to be a conservative safe haven. Now this is just MAGA echo chamber. Sure, Jan. Sure, Jan. Sure. I just want to know if 8715 is also suffering with a mental decline. Because 8715, you're not making coherent statements. You're rambling. 8715, I do appreciate you listening, even though you're rage listening. I really value your ears on this topic. Hopefully one day we can turn you around and get you in the right direction. Hopefully. Donald Trump is slipping. Donald Trump is mentally incoherent. He doesn't know what he's doing. Where is he? Exactly. Yeah, Donald Trump, he's hiding. He's also hiding. Don't forget the hiding part. It's very important to make sure that we hammer that one out too.
This is the worst game of hide and seek I've ever seen played in politics. I think Kamala's doing a much better job, and I think she's in the role of the seeker at the moment.
Hide and seek champion is Kamala Harris right now. Kamala Harris, come on. Are we really going to play this game any longer that Kamala Harris is a competent candidate? The 2024 election forecast, according to Polymarket, where people are putting real money behind candidates, have the election right now at 60.5% Trump, 39.4% Harris. That's got to scare them. In Pennsylvania, they have Trump up 57-43. Do you hear the panic? In Michigan, they have Trump up 56-44. Panic. In Wisconsin, 56-44. North Carolina, 65-35. Yikes. Georgia, 65-35. Arizona, 69-31. Did you notice a trend? I'm going through the swing states. The closest out of all the swing states, according to Polymarket, is Nevada, 51-49. That may change come next week. Donald Trump, Turning Point Action, announcing a massive rally in Las Vegas on October 24th. This is going to be the day after their mother of all rallies in Georgia on the 23rd, where they're going to have everyone from Riley Gaines to RFK Jr. to Tucker Carlson and more. Donald Trump is showing no signs of slowing down. He's hiding. He's hiding, they'll scream. He's hiding. He's doing a terrible job of hiding. Have you seen his schedule over the next couple weeks? I mean, you look at his schedule and you tell me that Trump is hiding, and I just have to tell you that you're taking in too much Kool-Aid. Way too much Kool-Aid. Tonight, he's in Detroit. Tomorrow night, he's in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. Sunday night, he's in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Monday, Greenville, North Carolina. Also Monday, he's going to be in Concord, North Carolina. Wednesday, he's for that mother of all rallies in Georgia. Thursday, Las Vegas. Sunday, also Madison Square Garden, October 27th, Sunday, New York City. I love it. I love it. Listen, Kamala Harris is really focusing on swing states. Donald Trump, I think when he schedules a rally for Madison Square Garden, he's letting people know that he does think New York's in play. He thinks New York's in play. And when you listen to people on the ground in New York, it's hard to disagree with them. But when you look at what's going on in New York, it's hard to see why people wouldn't wake up to the lies of the Democrat Party. Donald Trump is hiding, though. He's doing a terrible job. It's 11:31 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. And this just in, the judge in former President Donald Trump's 2020 election interference case has released 1,889 pages of what are described as heavily redacted records. These are documents special counsel Jack Smith used to build the case. Reports say these documents, again, very heavily redacted. And we're trying to get some of the details out for you now. Here in Nashville, this woman may never be the same after witnessing a drunk driver plow into people in downtown Nashville last night.
I was standing waiting for the walkie sign off the curb where I should not have been. The car literally just blew through 4th and Commerce, came up on the curve and hit three ladies here and then on down another male. Never expect this on a Thursday night in Nashville.
Police say one man struck his head and was killed. 4 others rushed to the hospital. They're all expected to be okay. Arrested, 25-year-old John Williams, whose birthday was yesterday. Court documents show there were multiple bottles of tequila in his car. He's being held on a $105,000 bail. Former NFL quarterback Jay Cutler is accused of trying to bribe someone not to call police after authorities say he crashed in Franklin last night. Here's Channel 4's Amanda Hara.
The former NFL player is now charged with DUI. Police say Cutler rear-ended another car, then offered the driver $2,000 not to call police. Investigators say when they showed up, he smelled like alcohol and was slurring his words. He refused a field sobriety test, so went to the hospital for a blood sample. Cutler spent a few hours in jail before bonding out. Police say they also found a rifle and a loaded gun in his car and then charged him with possession of a handgun while under the influence, as well as DUI.
That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. It's 11:33 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We talk a lot about our friends at the Glock store. I love those guys over there. And one of the things that we've talked about is how you can throw your own party there, whether it's a birthday party or retirement party, corporate team building. They do a bang-up job, no pun intended, at the Glock store when you're throwing parties. These guys know parties. So it actually makes perfect sense why they're getting involved with our presidential election party at the Wilson County Fairgrounds. They're our main sponsor, and they're bringing the prizes. Listen to what these guys are bringing. They're going to have these stainless steel mugs that are built from an actual firearm. I would embarrass myself if I tried to explain them to you, but I'll post a picture on my Twitter account when I get home today of this mug. That's third prize. Second prize, 3-session range card. If you've never seen the ranges at the Glock store, you could argue that this should be first prize. Private rooms, not public lanes. And the first prize that you could win at our presidential election night party is a Glock 19, but it's a special edition. It's the Trump Take America Back Glock 19. It's got a picture of Trump on the handle. It says Trump on it. It's decked out with American flags, bald eagles. It is a beautiful gun, and it could be yours if you come to our presidential election party at the Wilson County Fairgrounds on November 5th. We want to see you there. The Glock Store wants to see you anytime you want to train, throw a party, or buy a gun. The Glock Store and GlockStore.com. Minutes from the airport. Worth the drive from anywhere.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand from 99.7 WTN. If you're thinking about advertising this year in 2025 and beyond, you have to combine the power of radio with the power of digital. We do it here flawlessly, and our sales team can hook you up with a package tailored to your exact needs. So if you want to advertise, advertise with me. Advertise with 99.7 WTN. Go to the website for more info, 997WTN.com/epic.
$11:38 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I gotta share this text I got. It's about our friends at the Glock Store. Said, my wife and my daughter are both going to the Glock Store today for their first shooting lesson. Do the associates wear body armor? LOL. I said, you're in good hands. You're in good hands with the guys at the Glock Store. Listen, this is one of the things that I really do love about our advertising partners and our clients and all this. If they're advertising on WTN, they're patriots and they're unafraid. And you should be spending money at places that don't hate you. And if they're here on WTN, you can guarantee that they love you. Guaranteed. That goes for all of our clients across the board. So thank you for sending that text, 0930. Appreciate that. Hope they have a blast at the Glock Store. You like that? It's so easy to do Glock Store puns.
It just fits right in.
You know what I mean? Like a banger of a party. You can throw it at the Glock Store. We're going to have a banger of a party. Presidential election party, Glock Store sponsoring that.
Yeah, you're quick on the draw with those.
Oh, yeah. It's easy. It's easy. Shout out to our guys at the Glock Store. 997WTN.com if you want to come to our election night party and get that VIP package where you'll get exclusive reserved front row seating to the live broadcast, a VIP buffet, all of your drinks included, whether it's Dr. Pepper or Tito's. We got you covered. It's a good deal.
It's like, that's good. You also get front row seating for the entire event. I think I'm going to have to be fighting for a middle row just to like, be able to see anything up there.
Yeah, you're gonna be sandwiched in the middle.
Shoulders touching with everybody.
Yep. So, we want to see you election night. It's going to be a blast. I feel like we should just bring the jokes from the Al Smith dinner to the election night.
Please.
And we should just do a whole segment where we just run that live.
Well, no, I honestly would love to get the transcript of it. Give it to Dan. Be like, hey, I want to see how well you can run this real quick.
We need a transcript. Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's the jokes last night at the Al Smith dinner. It was art. It was art. the entire time. I can't get enough of Donald Trump being Donald Trump because he was hilarious last night.
But I know this isn't my normal crowd tonight because it just isn't. It's not my normal crowd. Believe me, my normal crowd is younger, has a lot more energy, but you have certain advantages too, like cash, lots of cash. But many of you are Manhattan liberals from the media and the Democrat Party. I always say the Democrat, Chuck doesn't like that. He likes Democratic. And it sounds much more beautiful, the Democratic Party. I always say the Democrat Party because it sounds worse. It is true. He likes Democratic. Why don't they just change the name? This way, it is Democrat. But I must say I was shocked when I heard that Kamala was skipping the Al Smith dinner. I'd really hoped that she would come because we can't get enough of hearing her beautiful laugh. She laughs like crazy.
It's just the roast of Kamala Harris,
It's
man.
the roast of Kamala Harris.
I need this Netflix special soon, please.
He was serving it to everybody. Joe Biden got his too, as he should.
Joe has almost disappeared from view. The only way he could be seen less is if he had a show on CNN. They had nothing. They've got nothing.
The only way Joe could be seen less is if he had a show on CNN. Also, I think we're still at a point where Joe is more media available than Kamala Harris, right? I think so. She did a tough interview with Brett Baer. Okay. It didn't work. But you can't trust the leadership that we have now.
We need new leadership in this country. Right now, we have someone in the White House who can barely talk, barely put together two coherent sentences, who seems to have mental faculties of a child, it's sad. There's a person that has nothing going, no intelligence whatsoever, but enough about Kamala Harris. Let's get on to something.
He's just a savage. He's a savage. The white dudes for Harris may be the most viral joke of the evening, though. Easily the most viral.
There's a group called White Dudes for Harris. Have you seen this? White Dudes for Harris. Anybody know? Are some of you here? White Dudes for Harris. Doesn't sound like it. But I'm not worried about them at all because their wives and their wives' lovers are all voting for me. Every one of those people is voting.
The crazy thing about that is, all right, so that's a 23-second clip. Do you know how many views that has on the Trump War Room Twitter account?
Oh, no.
3 million views.
There's a group called White Dudes for Harris. Have you seen this? White Dudes for Harris. Anybody know? Are some of you here? White Dudes for Harris. Doesn't sound like it. But I'm not worried about them at all because their wives and their wives' lovers are all voting for me.
Chuck Schumer was looking glum there as well.
Very glum.
He was looking glum. All right, so but Kamala Harris wasn't there. She couldn't bring herself to watch it last night. There are sources within the White House that are saying she tried to watch it this morning, and she made it a little ways into it, but when she got to this joke, she rage quit and turned it off, and it turned into a Don't Talk to Kamala Day, which is, I didn't know there were Don't Talk to Kamala days. There are Don't Talk to Kamala days. Today is one of those days, and that was announced by before 9 a.m. Eastern because she heard this joke.
People don't like it. The only piece of advice I would have for her in the event that she wins would be not to let her husband, Doug, anywhere near the nannies. Just keep them away.
Oh.
That's a nasty one. That's nasty. I told these idiots that gave me this stuff, that's too tough. People don't.
I love how he gives himself an out right at the end. I told the idiots that gave me this stuff, that's too tough. That's too tough. Kamala, that was where she ended. That was where she ended. She missed the, if she ended it there, then she missed this joke, which, I mean, this is right up there with the white dudes for Harris joke.
Coming in very, very strong a certain way. I won't tell you what way that is, but Chuck Schumer is here looking very glum. Doesn't he look glum? He looks glum.
He's rubbing Chuck's back.
But look on the bright side, Chuck, considering how woke your party has become. If Kamala loses, you still have a chance to become the first woman president.
Jim Gaffigan is the host of the night, and he chokes on his water there and has to wipe the dribble off of his chin. And then he brought up Jim Gaffigan also, and then talked about how Jim has been playing Tim Waltz on Saturday Night Live. He nails it. I don't know if you've seen the Tim Waltz on Saturday Night Live.
It's a good.
You just have to have jazz hands at 2 times speed, and then you're doing a good Tim Waltz.
I'd like to thank our MC this evening, Jim Gaffigan. Most recently, Jim has been playing Tim Waltz on Saturday Night Live, and that'll be a very short gig, I hope, Jim. But it was fun while it lasted, wasn't it? Let's see how that lasts. It better be quick. We don't want him, and I'm not going to say anymore. But unfortunately, Governor Waltz isn't here himself, but don't worry, he'll say that he was. He's going to say he was.
So good. So good. That wasn't the only time he took aim at Tim Waltz. This one, you could say that he was pretty savage for doing the Tim Waltz will say he was here. But this one was just, if that was savage, this is barbaric.
I used to think the Democrats were crazy for saying that men have periods, but then I met Tim Waltz.
I love it. I love it. Every minute of this. I could listen to this on loop all weekend long.
And then I met Tim Waltz.
It actually made me say, I have to go back and rewatch the Hillary Clinton one now. Have to.
That sounds hard, though. That much talk about Hillary Clinton. Then again,
But do you remember the joke that he said, it takes a village, or in Hillary's case with Haiti, she's taking a few. I mean, he had some good ones with Hillary. But last night, Trump was on fire, and people say he's losing his mental faculties. It's like, are you watching the same man I'm watching? Because if you watch this guy, that is not the description that I would give at all. Oh, here's this
evening to me. It really is. It represents so much. My sister was somebody that loved the church and gave to the church. The cardinal knew that. Had a certain priest that she thought was incredible, right? For a certain very, very fine man that she thought was incredible. Having recently myself survived 2 assassination attempts, I have a chart that went down to the right. Fortunately, I looked at it's my all-time favorite piece of paper. But it went down and I looked to the right and I said, was that luck? What was that, luck, or was that God that did that? And I think it was God that did that. I do. But I have a very fresh, Cardinal, I have a very fresh appreciation for how blessed we are by God's providence and his divine mercy. I mean, that was something, I was not supposed to be here tonight. That I can tell you. So with God's help, I know there is nothing that cannot be achieved. We can achieve so much good with this country and get together and unify.
If you take away nothing else from this show, I hope that last line from Donald Trump resonates with you all weekend long. With God's help, I know there is nothing that cannot be achieved. With God's help, I know there is nothing that cannot be achieved. We're going to check in with Murphy here in a second and see what's coming up on the Murphy Show. But before I do that, I want to say as the weekend proceeds, spend time with your family, disconnect from the news, really just be where you need to be. That's the most important. I know I'm going to be hanging out with the kids. If you got kids or grandkids, I suggest you do the same thing. Take a break. These next couple weeks are going to be intense. I'm just being honest. We got less than 3 weeks to go to the most consequential presidential election in our lifetime. It's going to get nuts. So take this weekend and recharge. It's 11:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I do everything from scrubbing cages to asking people for donations to answering the phones and helping facilitate getting animals to the rehab. I'm there on the weekends, up there taking care of animals with the team.
You got a great team there. It's a small team, but a great team that works together. And
I started about 20 years ago. My dear friend Carol Burgess founded Harmony in Fairview.
Okay.
And we decided to reopen it in West Nashville. And we are rocking along. Lots of animals. One of the primary calls that we get are, I found a bird, it's on the ground, what do I do? And in most situations, you should let it alone unless there's an imminent danger to that animal, because the parents are helping it and feeding it, and it just needs a couple of scary days on the ground until it gets back up into flight. What about bunnies, Melody? Can we give advice about bunnies?
The bunnies, they're just the sweetest, most innocent creatures, and we just see the worst things happen to them. Cats, dogs, lawnmowers, weed whackers.
In most cases, if the animals aren't injured, if you can put the rabbits back, that's always better to be with the mother rabbit than to come to us.
All the storms that have been coming through and just destroying nests, and a lot of babies will be found on the ground. Re-nesting is possible and preferable.
You play the video calls and you put the baby near where they found it, and the mama will actually come down and pick it up and then bring it back.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that cool?
Nice.
Noon? You got done at 3?
You were alive during the 1 o'clock hour and the 2 o'clock hour.
You talked? You talked? You took some breaks?
I mean, all jokes aside, Murphy's one of my favorites because you get upset, and I love it. It's like, I like your style.
I get very annoyed at stupid people.
What is annoying you today? I have a couple things annoying me today.
You know, I'm increasingly annoyed at myself.
Oh, come on, Matt. Don't be so hard on yourself, pal.
No. Listen now.
Look,
Listen now.
We might need some more time. I'm going to have to talk Murphy off the ledge here.
Yeah, because I don't do well feeling as good as I feel about what's going to happen on November 5th as I feel. Does that make sense? Does that check with everybody?
I said this earlier, and that's like some of the stuff I wonder, and it makes me nervous if they're putting it out there to try and foster a little complacency.
Well, I would say to that, if that's what they're doing, I think they're doing it too late.
Fair.
Right? So I just don't – I see a motivated America. I see people that want to go and vote themselves a better life. You know, I had a caller yesterday who said it really, really well. African-American caller. He identified himself that way, so I'll identify him that way. And he said, you know what? My family thought that I was a little bit racist for voting for Trump in 2016, voting for Trump in 2020. And here's the deal. Many of them have come over to Trump now because they recognize, regardless of what you think he is, it's not about what he is. It's about what he does to create an environment where I can better myself and better my family in the greatest country on God's green earth.
Amen.
That's what it's all about. And I love the Trump Vans hat.
The Trump Vans hat is
I love
clean.
the white.
It's
And
clean.
it's got a good look. I was just surprised that you weren't taking advantage of the month with the October Make America Great Again.
In the lead up to Halloween, I will be rocking that.
It'll be a daily
exclusively.
wear, you
Yes.
think? Okay.
Yes. But I got to keep these hats fresh. I
like it.
I want to save them for the boys one day, so I got all these vintage classic hats for them to take.
I'm going to make it a point this weekend to find my Make America Great Again. It's somewhere. I just don't know where it is.
Yeah, you have an original.
I have an original from 2015 from Trump Tower.
The OG.
I know, and I can't find it. It's got the big old band across the bill. Oh, it's old school. It's so good. So
You need
good.
it. We need it.
I'll find it.
We need it. Murphy's in next, and you're gonna be annoyed.
We might talk a little bit about this dinner last night that I don't know if you heard about it, but Trump was at a dinner, made a couple jokes. Pretty good.
No, I was focused on this Kamala, Wisconsin rally, actually. It's 12:01 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.